visit you're at the time. I know for me, for a dermatologist, I can't just go to my dermatologist and go and do that. So that's just an example. It's easy enough to get a referral, if it's something that's easy to deal with. The only tricky part is if your primary care physician says, well, we don't want to refer you to so-and-so because they're not part of our network. And then you think that they're in the Blue Cross network. And then they can come back and say, yeah, as part of our practice, we don't refer our members to this practice because they're not within our, partners, for example, or whatever it is. So you can always push that, request approval to have that referral approved, but sometimes there are hoops to get through, so if you don't want to have to deal with that, would be a good option, again, because you're referring yourself.
And one detailed question, like the way, sorry to too much about my specific circumstance, but like the way the dermatologist I go to, like they have multiple doctors. Do they need one referral for each one, or could they refer to me in their practice?
Yeah, on the HMO.
That's a more detailed question. I can try to go.
Yeah, you just always want to make sure ahead of time that practice that you're going to, that all the doctors are, and most of the time they aren't. They're covered under that Blue Cross Blue Shield network. Because really, the PPO in-network over here mirrors the HMO in-network. So it would only really be if you said, I went outside the network. I know they don't take Blue Cross. I know they don't take anybody. That's when I'd say, don't go to HMO. That's, But if you're in-network right now with PPO, you're in-network on HMO. Then you're, so that's nice.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so go through the HMO plan, go through the PPO, and then maybe those will trigger questions for some of you. Primary care office visits, $30 copay at the time of a sick visit. Again, preventive care is paid out 100%, so there's no cost for preventive care wellness visits. You get those, and I have a schedule of what those visits are. I can even send to you guys. Specialist copay, $40. Pharmacy visits, that $25 or $50, that falls under generic drugs. So most generic drugs are going to fall at that $50 copay. Specialty is $150, and then non-specialty is non-preferred, and that's $225. So those non-preferred drugs are your brand name drugs that cost more money for you, the member of Blue Cross, and so that's why that $225 is a high number there. You can, if you're on a maintenance medication, utilize the mail order through Express Scripts. You do save a copay, so it's a 90-day supply that you're only charged just really a 60-day supply for. So mail order makes sense if you're on maintenance medications. Inpatient is inpatient hospitalization. Outpatient is day surgery type procedures. So this is, a lot of you might be familiar with this hospital choice cost sharing because we had it in the last plan year. So basically with HCCS, hospital choice cost sharing, that is hospitals that Blue Cross Blue Shield has identified as you as a member to seek care from that they consider higher cost. And I'm going to share this with Siri, this PowerPoint presentation, so you can all see this. But here's an example of what the hospital list looks like. And it runs the gamut, lower, higher. So Brigham and Women's has a satellite office, so they're considered lower cost at those satellite office locations, but in Boston, they're considered higher cost. So, if you were tied to the Brigham and you didn't want to pay that higher cost share, you could always look at satellite offices. That's something to consider. Children's Hospital has a Waltham and Lexington satellite office that you could use that are considered lower cost. But really, when you look at what's higher cost, it's the hospitals you're thinking of. It's MGH, Dana-Farber, Brigham and Women's. There's the UMass Memorial Hospitals, which I'm going to refer from here. So those are all considered higher cost. So the way it works, if you were hospitalized, if you're going outside of one of those higher cost hospitals, you're satisfying the deductible and then you're done for the plan year. The deductible is $3,000 for an individual. So if you're hospitalized, you're meeting that $3,000 at that overnight hospitalization stay. If you were to go to one of those higher cost hospitals, you'll see it says higher cost share. You're paying the deductible and then a $1,500 copay. So the plan is really steering you as a member to try to seek care at a lower cost hospital. But if you had to go to MGH Children's, Dana-Farber, you have that ability to do that. The plan does cover, but it's at that additional $1,500 anyone have any questions on that? Yeah.
Good question. So if we're switching between, like, I'm on the PPO, if I wanted to switch to the HMO,
Yeah.
you're talking about like mail order services, which I do.
Yeah.
Would I need to re-register or what comes that?
That's a good question. You may have to because the group numbers are changing, so I'll follow up with that. I'll get that answer back to Sarah to pass that on as a follow-up question. That's kind of brings up a good thing. Like if you are switching between HMO, PPO, even if you are on the plan now and you're saying, no, I'm going to stay in the HMO or no, I'm going to stay in the PPO, everyone in here is going to get new member ID cards mailed to their homes. Your member ID number stays the same, but if you move between HMO and PPO, there's a prefix right before your member ID, that would change. But these group numbers for these plans will change, even though your member ID won't, the group number under upstatement will. So day surgery works the same way. If you have a day surgery procedure, you're satisfying the deductible, and then a $500 copay, unless you're going to a higher cost hospital, then it's the deductible, then $1,500. $40 copay for urgent care, and then emergency room deductible, then $500. So again, steering you to try to stay out of the emergency room if at all possible, and use urgent care because of the difference in cost to you as a member. Obviously, if you have to go to the emergency room.
Yeah, that was one question I had because I think our plan last year was just $150 copay. So I think it's more hospital question, but like, does that mean it's quite possible you might have to pay the whole $6,000 just for an ER visit? So you don't really have control over that.
So that's a good question to bring up. So the individual is $3,000 and family is $6,000, but if I'm on a family plan, I can't meet that $6,000 on my own. It's still individual. So that $6,000 is made up of individual, spouse, and child or children, and the spouse and the children can meet that deductible together. So if I was in the emergency room and I'm on a family plan, I'm only satisfying $3,000, which, you know, with negotiated rates, that emergency room visit, I want to say it's like $1,300 to $1,500 that I'd be paying toward my deductible. So that's a good question. And obviously, you know, if you're on the plan now, you get those explanation of benefits from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it says, you know, Carrie, you had an ER visit, you've met, you know, $1,300 of your $3,000 deductible, and this is how much you have left during the plan year. And the out-of-pocket max is something that's completely separate, but this is the out-of-pocket max is how much you can pay as a member during the plan year and deductibles and co-pays. So actuarially, these numbers are set where they're set high and they're kind of scary numbers, but you know, once the deductible gets reduced, these numbers are important if you're someone that's in and out of the hospital, like one of those higher cost hospitals, MGH or Children's. That's really the only way you're going to reach these numbers, but they're set there so that if you do meet that out-of-pocket max, that's when Blue Cross Blue Shield steps in and says, we'll pay 100% of the plan on your behalf for the rest of the plan year. So they know how to set these co-pays, you know, how really the plans are being, but that really ever happens. Within the business, I've maybe seen it happen twice. And that's really because there was a co-insurance. HMO doesn't have co-insurance, but PPO out of network, it does. So it's really hard to meet that out-of-pocket max. Any questions on the HMO?
You got one quick one?
Yeah.
Does hospital cost sharing interact with emergency room at all?
Oh, that's a good question. When you actually spoke about that, I meant to bring that up. No, it doesn't. So if it's a true emergency and you go to MGH because that's the closest hospital, you won't be charged at that higher cost. You'll be charged at a lower. If you're admitted, you'll be, charged at a lower cost rate. So I've had people joke when I come into meetings, and they're like, well, if I'm, my arm's falling off and I can walk into MGH, but oh no, it's higher cost and I really should go somewhere else. No, they don't want you to do that. They want you to go to the closest hospital and get here there. And that's one, time where it's acceptable.
What is the difference between urgent care and emergency room?
So really it's the facility. So there's a lot of facilities out there now that are labeled as urgent care. So when you're searching the network, you can search by urgent care, you can search by emergency room. Most hospitals don't have urgent care facilities, some do, but I'm thinking of, there's urgent care locations that are just standalone that are now really in a lot of communities. My pediatric office that my boys go to, they have an urgent care hours. So you can search by urgent care. Good question.
Sorry, is like an X-ray? Where is that from?
Yeah, that's a good question. So really, when you look at this HMO plan, the only place where the deductible does not apply is to office visits. So if you go in for a sick visit and, or your arm is sore, and, they want to do an X-ray, that X-ray is subject to the deductible. Because all services are except for office visits and prescription drugs. So any kind of lab work would be subject to the deductible, which, if you're on the plans now, you're familiar with. In the summary of benefits and coverage that you guys should have received, there is information, because if you're going to get an X-ray done at a higher cost hospital, it's the deductible and then a higher copay. So again, it's worth seeing if there's off-site locations that you can go to, even for MRIs or CAT scans. If you're at MGH and your doctor says, I really want to do an MRI, you can certainly have it done there, but it's a higher copay. It's like the deductible and then a $450 copay. Whereas if you went to a Shields or somewhere off-site, that you could save a lot of money. So then with the PPO, again, unlike the HMO where the deductible isn't required at the sick visit, it is at the time of a sick visit on the PPO plan. So the plans are very different in that respect. The deductible then a $35 copay, prescription drugs are the same, inpatient hospitalization mirrors what it's like in the HMO and even day surgery. It mirrors in the respect that it's the deductible then a copay. The copay actually appears smaller after the deductible has been met. The individual deductible is $3,000. Family is actually higher, $7,500 compared to $6,000. And then again, you've got these out-of-network benefits, so you're not tied. If you had a hospital in Pennsylvania or New York that you want to care from, you can do that with the HMO, the PPO plan.
If you have lab work done, does it depend? Does the different labs cost you different? Similar to hospitals, are you going to pay more for different facilities? I've been on plans before where they're like, with Quest Diagnostics, it's free, and if you go anywhere else, it's $200.
Exactly. It's mostly for you guys. Just to go back to the flash drive, to pull up just one of these things. So in the SBC that you guys have, the first page, it speaks to the deductible, out-of-pocket bags, and really just going through this to give you an idea of how these are set up. Primary care office visits, specialists, preventive care, no charge. Here's for diagnostic, X-ray, and blood work. So in in-network, low-cost hospital, you're satisfying the deductible and then a $35 copay. But if you're going to MGH, they're going to charge you the deductible and then $135 copay for X-rays, $70 for labs. So it's not that big of a difference where you for labs where you might say to your doctor, I want to go somewhere else. But certainly for MRIs, it does get more costly. No, I have no other earphones. Yes. Actually, it's the same for under HMO. Those copays are the same. And then you can see for MRIs and CAT scans, deductible, and then $500 at a lower cost, the deductible, and then $950 for MGH rate.
So when it says, sorry, basic question. So when it says copay applies first, does that mean that you pay out of pocket for like a diagnosis
Yes.
until you meet your deductible?
Yeah, so over here in these like limitations exceptions, the deductible applies first, then co-payment. So on most of these plans, the deductible is applying first. Really, it's just prescription drugs. The deductible doesn't apply, and under the HMO office visit, that sick visit. If you go to that sick visit and they're like, oh no, you're fine. That's just a $30 copay. Under the PPO, you're paying whatever the negotiated rate is. So it's right around $125 you're paying that goes toward the deductible at that time of visit. Okay. So I know it's a lot of information. I'm going to give this PowerPoint to Siri, and then there's also a link that you're going to be able to watch. It's a short tutorial that Blue Cross Blue Shield does where you can watch exactly how hospital choice cost sharing works. I can't remember if I shared this last year, if any of you remember it, but and so basically it's a nice way to see how you could save money if you do go to that lower cost. And they break out more covered services as well that might answer additional questions after you leave here. So there's the link for that. This is the hospital choice cost sharing that you'll be able to look through. Any questions on that, the HMO, PPO, or if you have questions that you want to ask after, I'm happy to answer them as well if you think of anything. Just as a reminder, the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan has a gym membership, the fitness benefit that is still embedded in the plan, weight loss and all that good stuff. And then healthy actions. Just want to reiterate, healthy actions to you as a member is a great benefit for you. At renewal time, once the renewal gets processed, and Centisoc sends you an email, and that's where you answer health questions. You print off those health questions and you bring them with you to your primary care provider. I know there's a good handful of you that have already done this. I've seen the numbers through Blue Cross that have participated in healthy actions. So when you bring that form with you to your primary care provider's office, your primary care provider says, okay, Carrie, yeah, your cholesterol is great and you're in a good weight. Here's your form. You send it back to Blue Cross. Blue Cross gives you a $300 Visa gift card. If my primary care physician says, actually you have high cholesterol and I want you to work on that, they'll still send that off to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then Blue Cross Blue Shield will give me a $150 gift card. And then if I get my cholesterol under control, go back, show that I did, then they give me the other $150 for participating. So that's still a benefit that is going to be reinstated for September 1st. So hopefully a lot of you participate in that. Does anyone have any questions over this past plan year? If you participated, if you had success with it?
Would you probably have to wait, like even though it's ended as a program in September, presumably your doctor's office would only do the yearly visit a year after the last one?
Exactly, yes. But you can still go for, when you go for a visit, even if you got it this past plan year, you can still get it next plan year. By going to your by going to an office visit, yeah. And I'll send over to you just a list of what those preventive care visits are that you might even be missing out on that you don't know about.
Part of the reason that we call out healthy actions, and I talk about it beyond just now, but there are certain targets that we as a company are trying to get to. And by meeting those targets, it helps to keep our new rates for 2019 to 2020 lower, so the more people that participate, hypothetically, we can kind of keep costs as low as possible, and also you get paid for going, and in theory, it's helping to continue preventative care and other things like that.
So vision, anyone have any vision questions this past plan year? So again, if you didn't participate last plan year, you have the opportunity to sign up for September 1st. Telehealth is a benefit that Blue Cross Blue Shield has again embedded into your plan, and so you have the opportunity to call up a doctor and get diagnosed, through online chat or over the phone. So this is a feature that a lot of members don't even know that they have in their plan. And when you use it, it's the cost of what your office's copay is, and you actually give your credit card at that time. So I know people have used it for sinus infections. Just on a couple of things. It's kind of hard with, strep throat or, things like that where you need lab work, but some things they are able to use to prescribe prescriptions through telehealth. Any questions on that?
If you find out that you actually need to go in for an in-person appointment, are you doing 2 copays? Like if they're like, oh, we actually can't tell.
That's a good question. Let me follow up. I'll qualify that. We'd like to say no, but back to Siri and answer that. Okay, so I think that's it that I have, guys, for you guys. So changes take place again on September 1st. We're going to open up on GoCo. I was told Siri was thinking it might even be open, but we'll confirm those dates for you guys and let you know. It should be any day now. I think it's open now. I'm not certain. Okay. I don't have a date. That time here. Okay, yeah, so we'll confirm all those and then I'll get that information to Siri to get out to you.
Sorry, I forgot I had an additional question.
Yeah, sure.
I made an appointment recently with a ophthalmologist, and they said like we've never heard of that plan. And it turns out what I was reading as Blue Cross Standard Access Vision, it's like
it's a Blue
ID
2020.
or something.
Yeah.
They didn't recognize Blue 2020 either.
So it's through IMED, administered through IMED.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the administrator.
They've heard of IMED though, right?
Once I looked at
Oh,
that
good.
logo, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, you did get a card, right? So,
Yes, I think I was looking at the Coco versions of the
Oh,
card, which doesn't
okay.
say IMED on it.
okay.
But is it the same one?
It is, and there's there should be a claims information right on your cards. And we can see if we can actually, did you have your card this time or no?
Not
Were
in
you
time,
just
that was
sitting here?
probably,
Yeah. So they do have the claims contact information on that card, and then there's actually a brochure I can share that you can keep throughout the plane year if that comes up again that you can refer to that has that information on it.
I had signed up for dental and vision last year and didn't receive cards. Do I have to request cards for those?
You know they should automatically go out, so we'll definitely make sure that we get them this year. Yeah, you definitely should have product cards. Do you want to share your name with me and I can get them?
Not for I don't need the ones from last year.
Okay, but yeah, so ID cards are automatically generated, but since the dental is not, it actually, no, it is doing this year. The only cards will go out to those that are making changes, because there's no change in dental, so cards are going to be triggered, so share your, yeah, that's okay.
Thank you so much.
You bet, you're welcome.
I noticed that the HMO fee went down 30%. Which made me worry just because I know healthcare companies don't do that.
Yeah, so that's a good question to bring up. So Blue Cross Blue Shield. I can only imagine the meetings I step into sometimes. It's depressing, people are like, I can't take my kids to the movies. It's depressing. So Blue Cross Blue Shield dramatically changed their small group portfolio. So the two, the HMO and the PPO plans that were being offered that you guys had, they were actually doing away with. And so that's really why we had to transition to these new plans. And we tried to match it close to what we had with Blue Cross. We looked at Tufts, we looked at Harvard, and at the end of the day, Blue Cross was still the most competitive carrier.
Yeah.
And so it's really the deductible changes.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure. Like, I saw the deductible thing. I just want to make sure there wasn't anything else major. Like, oh, by the way.
No, still full comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good question.
Really quick, can you talk about for people who have families and might be signing up for dental coverage,
Yeah.
how that works and what they should do in regards to family members?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. So, in the Blue Cross Blue Shield medical plan, there's a pediatric dental benefit rider embedded in the medical. So, if you've got kids that are less than age 19 on your medical plan, they automatically have a full comprehensive dental plan from Blue Cross Blue Shield. So, if you are on the dental, you and your spouse really only need to be be on the dental plan, your children don't have to be if they're on the medical, because they've got that. So you yourself as an employee are saving those premium dollars. So when you go through GoCo, you want to make sure that you enroll in just employee plus spouse. If you do have dependents less than 19 on the medical, so you're not double paying. Make sure I always forget about that. I know I did last year too. Anything else? Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that even if we're on the HMO now and we're going to stay on the HMO, we should still expect like new cards.
You should, yes. Good question. You know, and since there's a plan change being made, you know, you still want to go out and go on GoCo, and you know, if you're still staying at the HMO and you're not making any changes, just go out, make sure all your information is correct, and you know, do that process. And you know, but you're right. Everyone is going to get new ID cards, whether you're staying on the HMO or whether you're staying in the PPO, because the plan names are changing.
But will the dental and vision will stay the same?
They do. They're staying the same. Yeah.
Is that a change we'll need to like let our primary care know about, or only like
You will when you at the time of visit. Yeah, exactly, and you'll update your card with them then. Exactly.
One more question. How does that affect like if we're already on the PPO or sorry HMO and already have referrals and stuff? How does that affect any like?
If you're on the HMO and you have referrals in place, you're fine.
Okay.
It's just if you're on the PPO and moving to the HMO. Yeah.
I've got like one last one. That is, so let's imagine that I'm currently on the PPO and I've already put, you know, let's just say $2,000 towards the deductible. That's changing, or well, I'm going to the HMO because my deductible contribution raise, like how is that going
That's
to
a
be?
good question. Everything resets September 1st.
Okay,
Yeah.
so September 1 to September 1.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So no credit is given. It's a plan year that we're on, and Blue Cross only offers plan year deductibles. So some carriers, not in Massachusetts, but they do have a calendar year where you could get credit into the next, but they just don't do that smaller than Blue Cross. So everything resets 9/1. So if you know that you have something coming up, hold off until September 1st before that deductible, you know, restarts. Great, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time listening to all this fun stuff. Exciting stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're welcome.
I called my doctor. Is there a way